Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, my dear students and my amazing sweethearts of grade 6? Inshallah, today I'm going to help you study and revise lessons 1 and 2 from Unit 3. Actually, we have missed a lot of lessons and we have made a lot of classes due to the map exam and the Eid vacation, and of course this week we are going to miss more classes because of the celebration for Eid. And that's why I hope that you are going to follow me. Just a minute. Again, today I'm going to help you study and revise lessons 1 and 2 from Unit 3, Our Changing World. Pay attention, my sweeties, and you will find these two lessons very easy and you are going to master them a lot. Be careful. Your quiz is so soon and you need to follow me. Let's start. Bismillah. I'm going to move very quickly throughout these two lessons. First of all, we are going to talk about the layers of Earth. That is the beginning of lesson 1. Of course, you know that our Earth, millions of years ago, our Earth was very hot. And when it was very hot, it was made of gases and molten rock. As it cooled down, it started to have the shape that we know today. It started to have the first layer, which is hard rocks, and we call it the crust. The crust is the land we live on today. The crust surface is very uneven. What's the meaning of uneven? Not the same all the time and not and will never stay the same. The crust changes all the time and it is not the same everywhere. Now let's talk about the 4 layers of Earth, as you can see from the picture, and it's very important for you to know how to label the layers of Earth. First layer is the crust on which we live. The next one is the mantle, which is the next layer, and then we have the outer core, and finally we have the inner core. The crust on which we live is the hard surface. It's about 40 kilometers thick. The mantle is about is the next layer, and it's about 2,900 kilometers thick. The outer core is the layer of molten rock, and it's about 2,000 kilometers thick. The inner core is a solid ball made mostly of iron with a radius of about 1,200 kilometers. Of course, you know that the radius is the line from the circle to the inside or the center of it. This is our air, this is our Earth and the layers of it. I want you to study very well the 4 layers, and of course you know how to draw them or even to label them. Now let's talk about the crust. Is the crust or the surface of the crust the same everywhere? Is it made of one piece only? Let's talk about this. The geography of our Earth or the surface of the crust changes all the time. Some of these changes are very quick. Others are very slow and they can take millions of years to happen. The fast changes can happen by what? The fast changes, as you can see from the picture, this change can happen in few seconds. This is the earthquake. Which happens and how can the earthquake cause this change? Our crust is not made of one piece. It's made of tectonic plates. The one piece of this is called tectonic plate. Another tectonic plate, this is the crust, by the way. Can you see how the crust is made up of tectonic plates and not only one piece? It looks like a jigsaw puzzle. When any of these two plates move against each other, this causes what? An earthquake. So the earthquake happens when 2 plates suddenly move against each other, causing the rocks deep under the ground to split. We have 2 very important points about the earthquake that you need to understand or know about. The epicenter is the center of the earthquake, and the fault plane is the weak place between 2 plates. This weak place is supposed to have a lot of movements, and that can cause a lot of earthquakes. So this is one thing that can cause a very fast change for the surface of the earth or the geography of our earth. What is the other thing that can cause another fast change? They are volcanoes. It is an eruption of molten rock from beneath the earth's crust. Deep under the crust, hot liquid rock flows. We call this hot liquid rock under the ground magma. Movements in the crust can force this magma upwards, and it can flow out onto the Earth's surface. At this time, when it starts to flow up on the surface of the Earth, it becomes lava. Some volcanoes can erupt peacefully, others can erupt so strongly, and they can cause changes and a lot of people destruction, and a lot of people can be killed. So fast changes can happen by earthquakes, and other fast changes can happen by volcanoes. Generally, natural disasters can cause very quick and fast changes for the crust and the geography of Earth. What about the slow changes? The slow changes that can happen over millions of years. They can be caused by weathering or erosion. I will try to make it so easy for you. Weathering, when the rocks of the crust are broken into pieces, and that can cause a big mess. The break, when the rocks are broken, they can be broken by weather conditions. The breaking of the rocks by weather conditions is called physical weathering. And sometimes the rocks, as you can see from this picture, can be caused by the roots of the plants, because the roots of the plants wants to go deeper into the earth and spread everywhere in order to take in the nutrients and to hold the plant to the ground or to the soil. These roots, in order to move everywhere into the soil, they release chemicals that help break the rocks. These are or these chemicals cause chemical weathering. So we have either, as you can see from this picture, physical weathering that is done when the rocks are broken by weather conditions, or it can be chemical weathering, as you can see from this picture, when it is done by the chemicals that the roots of the plants release to break down the surface of the rocks. So again, the chemicals that are released from the roots of the plants can cause chemical weathering, and the weather conditions like the rain, the wind, the snow, the ice can cause another kind of weathering. This is called physical weathering. Weathering is the process that makes the rocks breaks down into sand, stone, and minerals. Can you see this line is very important? Again, when the rocks are broken down into sand, stone, and minerals, that can form the soil, and the soil is a very important natural resource that we need for our lives. We need the soil to grow our plants, to make the food for all the organisms that live on Earth. So weathering is very important to form the soil. But how can the soil be moved? How can this mess can be cleared away? Now it's time to study erosion. Erosion is the process of removing the pieces of rocks and the soil from one place to another. There are so many types of erosion. If this erosion is done by the river, when the river carry away the stone, the soil, the sand, and the gravels from place to another on its way, when it moves from one place direction to another, we call this river erosion. This picture is coastal erosion. It happens by the waves when they hit the coast and then start to carry the pieces of rocks and sand away. We have glacier erosion. It happens by glaciers, and we have man-made erosion. It happens by people. When people remove the rocks and the sand or any of these things from place to another. So these are the types of erosion that you need to study. In short, we can say that in order to summarize our lesson, into only 2 sentences, we can say what? Volcanoes Earthquakes and other natural resources can change the geography of Earth and the crust so and very quickly. But weathering and erosion can change the crust very slowly over thousands or even millions of years. Look at these two pictures. This can be a fast change. It can happen only in few seconds or in a blink of an eye. But this change that caused this big mountain or this big hill to change into pieces like this took millions of years to happen by weathering and erosion. These are the fast changes and the slow changes that can happen for the crust because of either natural disasters or weathering and erosion. These are the most important points that you need to know from lesson 1. Now let's move for the other lesson. It talks about the geography of the Middle East. In the previous PowerPoint, we studied the general things or elements that can form the geography of Earth. Now we need to talk about the Middle East in particular. Most of the Middle East, as you know, is desert environment. Again, what is the Middle East, my sweeties? The Middle East, most of it is what? Weather, desert environment. But how do we know that it's desert environment? You have to understand this very well. In order to classify one part of the world as a desert environment, we must know how much rain does it receive. Look here, my sweeties. Desert areas or desert places receive less than 25 centimeters of rain every year. Look, this is the map of the whole world. Where is the Middle East? I will let you see now where is the Middle East. Okay, look here. This is the Middle East. I'm circling now the Middle East. My circle is bigger enough inside this place, this area. It doesn't include Europe, by the way. Only this place is the Middle East. Can you see the dark color, the dark orange color? These are the hot areas that are, the temperature is so high. Of course, you know that the desert is so hot, but not only the temperature can tell us that this is a desert or not. No, it's the amount of rain. Can you see the yellow area up here and the other one yellow here? The yellow areas receive less than 25 centimeters of rain. Look here, this area, I'm pointing to it here. This is Sahara Desert. What is Sahara Desert? It is the first largest desert in the world. And here, this is what the Arabian Desert. It is the second largest desert in the world. Here we have two big deserts in the world. All of them, or the two of them, are located in the Middle East. Okay, so most of the Middle East is desert environment because most of the Middle East receives less than 25 centimeters of rain every year, and the largest two deserts in the world are located in the Middle East. The first one is the Sahara Desert here, and the other one here is the Arabian Desert. Now, let's talk about something else. What is responsible for forming the landscape of the Middle East? Weathering, erosion, volcanoes, earthquakes, or what? Look here, my sweeties. The desert landscape, again, the desert landscape of the Middle East has been shaped by water and by wind. Again, the landscape or the landforms or the desert environment of the Middle East has been shaped by water and by wind, not by volcanoes or earthquakes. Other places, the elements that are responsible for forming the landscape there are volcanoes or earthquakes, but the Middle East or the desert of the Middle East has been shaped by water and by wind, as you can see from these pictures. I'm sorry, I have to clear these circles. Of course, you know that the wind can blow the sand and the stones along the surface of the land, but does it mean that the surface of the desert can move? Not all of it, only sand dunes can move. Look here, my sweeties. These are the sand dunes of Saudi Arabia. These sand dunes can move. What can cause them to move? The wind or maybe the rain, if there is some rain in the desert. But of course, the rocks and the mountains cannot move. Saudi Arabia's sand dunes move about, can you see this number? You have to pay attention for this number, 14.6 meters every year. So the sand dunes of Saudi Arabia changes. Yeah, they move about 14.6 meters every year, and the one that can move them is water and wind, but mostly wind. But what about life in the desert? Did people live in the Middle East thousands of years ago? Of course, yes. People lived in the Middle East thousands of years ago, and they still live. Here, we still live in the Middle East. We are living in the Middle East now. But how could they do that? How could they survive in the desert environment of the land of the Middle East? Look here. Let's go for the last one. How did people survive in the desert? Look here. People lived in the Middle East for thousands of years. How? Even in the desert regions? Yeah, but how? By collecting enough food and water. By using their environment. They could make a lot of changes for the environment to help them live there. They hollowed out homes in the clefts of the desert mountains. But how? We still need to know how. Look at this. Look at how they hollowed homes inside the clefts of the mountains. This is how they hollowed homes in clefts of mountains. Also, they used the camels to help them travel, and they loaded all their supplies on camel backs. Let's go back. They hollowed out homes in the clefts of the desert mountains, and the Bedouins landed all the supplies on camels, as you have seen. Also, camels were very important animals for the people who lived in the Middle East, because camels can survive in the desert so much. They can be called the shepherds of deserts. Also, the people of the Middle East, or the people who lived here and they survived in the desert, they herded sheep and goats for meat, milk, and wool. Meat and milk was very important food supplies, and wool was very important material for making clothes, and tents in which they lived. They also used salt to keep meat and milk products from spoiling. There was no need for fridges as we need today. They used salt to keep and preserve meat and milk. These are the ways in which people could survive in the desert environment. And actually, that was the end of our 2 lessons. I hope that you understand the main points of the 2 lessons, but for more practice and to make sure that you understand all these elements and all these points, let's go to what? Again, let's go for the revision sheet. Let's start. The revision sheet can summarize, but actually this is not the model answer. In order only not to waste our time, we need the model answer sheet. Okay. Look here. The first question, we need to label the layers of Earth from beginning to end, or from inside to outside, as you like. Crust, mantle, outer core, and the bowl inside that is made mostly of iron. Again, the inner core is a bowl solid bowl made mostly of iron, and you have to know this very much. This picture tells us about how is the plate and the other plate can move against each other, and how can the earthquake happens. Also, this is the epicenter. The zigzag lines show us how the earthquake happens, and how the waves and the movements go or move outward from the epicenter to the outside of it. Here we know we need to identify what kind of erosion it is. When the steps of people on forests move away the soil, we can call this man-made erosion. This erosion is coastal erosion. It happens on the coast by the waves. Here we have 11 definitions, and I want you to understand how to complete them. But not only can this question be like this, it can be changed into a true or false, or choose the right answer. Let's start. What is the outer layer of Earth, as we just explained? Yeah, it's the crust. The thick molten rock flowing under the ground. The very hot liquid rock under the ground is magma. But when it starts to flow onto the surface of the Earth, it becomes lava. The great or the large flat piece of hard land, this is the plate. This is the plate, as you saw from the pictures up. The center point of the earthquake, this is the epicenter. Means edge or border. The edge or border is boundary. It is the line that separates two plates. The places that receive less than 25 centimeters of rain every year, this is the deserts. The deserts receive this very little amount of rain every year, and that's why they can be classified as deserts. The process that breaks up the rocks by weather conditions, we call this by weather conditions. Again, you have to identify which kind of weathering is it. The one that is done by weather conditions is physical weathering, but the one that can be done by the chemicals of the roots of the plants is chemical weathering. This is the next point. The chemicals that are released from the roots of the plants, these are, or they can cause chemical weathering. The eruption of molten rock from beneath the Earth's crust, this is a volcano. And the first largest desert in the world, again, what is the first largest desert? It's Sahara Desert. And what is the next one to it? It's the Arabian Desert. Here is the model answer up. The Arabian Desert and Sahara Desert. But Sahara Desert is the third largest desert in the world. The Arabian Desert is the next largest desert. So this is number one, and this is number two. How can we decide them? Again, you have to find them on the map. Let's see here. Look at this. Look at this one. Again, this yellow place in the north of Africa, this is Sahara Desert. Can you see how big it is? It is the largest desert in the world. And the next one is Arabian Desert here. Now, let's go back to our sheet. Right types of erosion. When waves wear away at the base of cliffs, this is coastal erosion. Done by glaciers, this is glacier erosion. True or false? Most of the Middle East is water environment. Are you sure? Of course not. It's desert environment. The desert landscape of the Middle East has been shaped by water and by wind? No, yeah, true, that's true. Not by volcanoes or earthquakes as other places in the world. 3, Saudi Arabia sand dunes move about 24 meters every year? No, 14.6 meters. People could not live in the Middle East thousands of years ago. People could live. When I say they could not live, it's not true. Sugar was very important for keeping meat and milk in the desert environment. No, it was not sugar. It's salt. Now here I want you to write 3 ways in which people could adapt to desert life and in which they could survive in the desert. You have a lot to write, but I just want you to use your own language. After you finish studying, express your ideas and use your own language, my sweeties. Thanks for being with me and goodbye. You need, and I advise you to watch this video. It will help you study this lesson as we have no time to repeat it. We missed enough classes and there are no more classes to be missed. Thanks a lot for being with me and goodbye, my sweeties. Goodbye for all.